Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Montgomery County Forensics League Awards Night. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the tournament director, Lisa Marshall, and tonight, as every year, I have the honor of serving as your mistress of ceremonies. So first of all, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being patient with us as we move through this very unusual season. And I want to congratulate all of our finalists. It takes a lot of work to get here, particularly this year. We have 3 tournaments, qualifying tournaments, usually in October and December and January, at which students compete with other students from most other Montgomery County high schools. Each student competes in their chosen category or categories, and judges provide both a total score based on the student's demonstrated skill in several different presentation areas, and a rank, how each student fared relative to others in the same room. So once the judges' scores are submitted, the lowest rank is dropped, and then we evaluate the remaining ranks and score totals of each of the competitors and groups. The top third in each category qualify for our finals tournament. The qualifiers are usually announced at the end of the tournament day, in this case, the tournament week, since students were submitting videos. So usually people know how they did pretty soon afterwards. Students can compete and potentially qualify in finals in 2 individual categories, and in at least 2 group pieces in each of the 3 qualifying tournaments. At the finals tournament, which this year occurred over the course of 2 weeks, it's normally 2 days, students may compete in a quarterfinal round, and then if they finish ranked highly enough, sometimes it's only 1 person out of 5 or 6 competitors, they then move on to semifinals, and then the top 6 from semifinals are in finals, and the top 6 are who we're looking at tonight. These are the best 6 students in the county in each of these categories. These poor students have had to be patient for the last 3 weeks since many of them submitted new videos for finals, but not knowing the outcome of their performances. So we've been keeping that a secret, but it will be revealed tonight. I know all of you have been waiting a long time to learn where you've placed, and we're eager to see the winning performances, so we're going to go ahead and get started. For each of the categories, we're going to announce the results in ascending order, 6th place first, and 1st place last.
And I'm going to be performing The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the dramatic interpretation category. Everyone has immoral impulses, right? Those little thoughts that just tug at you to do something that you know isn't right. However, we have the self-control to ignore these intrusive thoughts and carry on with our lives. But what if these thoughts manifested into their own being and were free to do whatever they'd like? And now, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Emma Reeves and Andrew Loudon. If they only knew me, the thoughts I have, the things I yearn to do, they would cast me out. Thank heaven nobody can read a man's inner thoughts. I am a good man, and as long as I do not act on my impulses, I am still a good man. The pity is, I will never experience the life of a bad man. We can subdue the beast, but never remove him entirely. Is that true? Can it be that man is not one, but 2? And if it is so, it is the curse of mankind. If only there were a way to separate them. If I could create a drug in order to do so. If I could change my appearance. Yes, that's it. I can bear it no longer. As long as I am bound to you, I am exposed to shame and disgrace. I have decided the one must become 2. 37 seconds to allow the chemicals to react, and at a measure of 5 fluid ounces should be enough for a few doses. This drug will change my very self. It will separate us and enable us to change places. I must calculate the dose very carefully, for if it is too strong, I risk death, and if it is too weak, the change cannot occur at all. There it is, the final ingredient. To freedom! Who are you?
You know who I am. You have liberated me.
Yes, I think I do know who you are.
I too am you.
You are the other side, liberated from convention, from manners, from rules.
Younger, lighter, happier in body.
Ugly, disgusting, yet my heart leaps to welcome you.
Free to enjoy the sensual pleasures, to be reckless.
Please stop, for I confess I hate to hear such wicked words.
Wicked.
Without shame or guilt, evil even.
Free.
Free, fascinating, and I, Dr. Henry Jekyll, am the very first man to discover you, my hidden twin soul. No. This is a horrible idea. What was I thinking? You must remain hidden.
I have been hidden for far too long.
You must hide. The world is not ready to see you. I am not ready for the world to see you.
I thought you wanted to be free. Do you not long to live, really live, and be seen without being known as Dr. Henry Jekyll only?
Very well. Let us make it an experiment. But I must hide you for now. I am free. For now. A few weeks went by and I let Hyde out every now and again so he could have some fun. But one night he decided to push my limits.
Come along, Jekyll, keep up.
Where are you taking us? What in God's name are you doing?
What you have always secretly wanted to do.
I am a good man. No. I never want to hurt anybody.
You were a slave, but now we are free. Do you know where we are, Jekyll?
Of course. This is the home of Sir Danvers. Hyde, he is a good man. He is old and he is lame.
Even better, he will be no threat.
Think, Hyde, an old man, a cripple. How can there be any honor in this?
Even now you talk of honor. There is no honor. There is no God. There is only man in his needs. Our needs which destroy us when we deny them and free us when we embrace them. We must take what we want and to hell with the rest.
And in that moment, I knew there was no turning back. Hyde stormed us right into Sir Danvers' house and murdered him in his sleep. Hyde! I did not want this. I never wanted any of this.
Dr. Jekyll, be true to yourself.
I am. Every cell in my body rebels against this. None of this was my doing. I renounce you. I reject you. Now go! Go! Alone. Alone at last. He is gone forever. Yes, forever. Father, forgive me, for I have sinned. But I will change, I swear. From this moment forth, I will be Dr. Jekyll only. Oh God, how I rejoice to think of it.
Oh, really? You think you could get rid of me that easily?
How? How did you return? I didn't even take the drug.
You need no drugs to become yourself.
Has it come to this? After all my repentance, all my hard work, all my good deeds.
Despite all this, you are more Edward Hyde than you are Henry Jekyll. Remember, you killed Sir Danvers.
No, you killed him. It was you.
You killed him. It was you.
For God's sake, have mercy.
For God's sake, have mercy.
Enough.
Mercy, for God's sake, have mercy. Silence! You cannot silence me!
I can silence you. And I will. If I have to summon all the strength I have left in my body, I shall silence you.
Your strength is my strength. We are one.
I shall silence you!
Yes, have another one!
Your silence is my silence.
Stop it! What are you doing?
There is only really one way to silence you, is there not, after all?
What do you mean?
Your silence is my silence.
No! What are you doing, Jekyll?
I'm preparing a dose that will silence you once and for all.
No!
I've tried everything. I've even tried stronger doses. Have mercy! Every waking moment, I've been a slave to you, and now I shall silence you. For God's sake, have mercy! For God's sake, have mercy! You cannot kill me! I can. I've tried stronger doses, but this dose...
No, it's too strong, it's too much!
This dose, I calculate to be fatal.
You'll kill both, Jekyll?
Yes, I will silence us both. There comes an end to all things. Evil finally destroyed the balance of my soul, and yet I was not alarmed. It seemed natural. After all, I am just like my neighbors.
Hello, my name is Mary Shawn, and this is for Prose. Trying to achieve a goal, to accomplish something great, can be difficult, frustrating, and exhausting. But the feeling of success is all the sweeter for it. In this excerpt, rocket-building teenagers Sunny and Quentin embark on their newest project as they try to build and launch an impressive homemade rocket. And now, we do the math, from Rocket Boys by Homer Hickam Jr. Everything was in place for us to take the next big step in rocket design. AUK-23 was going to be the first rocket to be based on the sum total of Miss Riley's book, the calculus that Quentin had learned in Mr. Hartsfield's class and that I had learned on my own, coupled with the practical knowledge we had gained through 2 years of failure and success. Quentin thumbed over to Colwood on a Saturday in November, and we went up to my room to work the equations. Quentin read each procedure aloud from Miss Riley's book, his bony finger running along from equation to equation. The book described the phenomenon that dictated rocket nozzle design, and Quentin and I talked about it until we were certain we understood it. When rocket propellant burned, it first produced a river of gas that flowed into the convergence section of the nozzle. If the river continued through the throat at less than sonic speed, that is to say, less than the speed of sound, it became compacted in the divergence section, bound in turmoil and inefficient. But if the gas river reached the speed of sound at the throat, the key to nozzle design, Sonny, then the gas flow in the divergent section would go supersonic. A very good thing. The series of equations we needed to work described the parameters of thrust coefficient, nozzle throat area, combustion chamber cross-sectional areas, and velocity of the gases predicted for any particular propellant. The book also called for us to make decisions we'd never made before. How high and fast was our rocket to go, and how heavy was our payload going to be? We understood that the equations were related. The first thing Quentin and I did was scratch any payload from consideration. We were committed to the glory of pure altitude. "Let's go for 2 miles, Quentin said. "Why not 30? I demanded. Quentin was more cautious. "Let's just see what it takes to double our altitude." I opened a desk drawer and pulled out a pad of notebook paper. The same equation we'd used to calculate altitude based on time was the one we needed first. Good old S equals 1/2 AT squared. I did the calculations, assuming our rocket reached maximum velocity immediately upon launch and rounding off the altitude to 10,000 feet. The result equaled a velocity of 800 feet per second, or 545.45 miles per hour. When I recalculated, I came up with the same result. This was more than 5 times faster than the Buick could do on Little Daytona, and I found it difficult to imagine one of our rockets could really go that fast. I shoved the notebook away and threw down my pencil. This can't be right. I was disgusted. I couldn't even do the first simple equation. Quentin took a quick look and pushed the notebook back to me. It is exactly correct. Keep going. Don't lose your nerve. I haven't lost my nerve, I snapped. But I had. The next step was to do equations for the design of the de Laval nozzle, and privately I quaked at the thought of attempting them. There were dozens of them, one building on the other, one wrong, all wrong. You had the calculus class, Quentin. You work them. No, he said adamantly. Miss Riley gave you the book. You know calculus as well as I do. Quit stalling. My confidence was gone. Doing those equations was like running a 4-minute mile, something possible only for someone far greater than I. Quentin leaned forward and shook his finger at me. Listen, old man, if you don't work these equations, what will be the point of all we've done? We might end up building a good rocket that'll fly just fine, and all the grown-ups and teachers will brag on us. Who knows? We might even be able to bluff our way past the judges at the science fair. But you'll know, and I'll know, all the boys will know what could have been done if you hadn't lost your nerve. We could have built a great rocket. What's your definition of a great rocket? I asked. He crossed his arms and jutted out his chin. One that does precisely what it is designed to do. It doesn't matter if it only flies 200 feet. If that's what it's designed to do, and that's what it does, it will be a great rocket. He pointed at the book. We want our rocket to go to an altitude of precisely 2 miles. The equations to make that happen are in that book. Do them! I looked at the tiny letters and signs in the equation. These were the same equations used by Werner von Braun and seemed intimate, secretive, his domain. The first equation I needed to do was the one that defined the thrust coefficient. Quentin reached across me and tapped it impatiently. Are we going to sit here all night? All right, you son of a bitch, I'll do it, I growled. Quentin sat back and laughed. The sheets of notebook paper slowly began to fill with my scrawled calculations. For 2 hours I worked, interrupted only by my mother bringing Quentin, and incidentally me, some milk and cookies. I got out a straight edge, a protractor, and a compass, and carefully drew the nozzle and the casement to the dimensions I had calculated. Well, here's something, I announced when I was done. I felt achy, my arm muscles and fingers sore from my precise drawings. Quentin replaced me at my desk. He put his head down and went line by line through my pages of calculations. After an hour of it, he threw the notebook across the room. You rounded off the powers, he accused. Your drawings are worthless. I forgot how to do it when they're fractions, I said defensively. You used logarithms, you twit. How could you forget that? Exasperated at my stupidity, I looked up at the ceiling and moaned. Logarithms! I was so tired. I just wanted to lay my head down and go to sleep. Get back to work, Quentin snarled. I could have slugged him. but I sighed instead, got out the differential equations book with the log tables in them, and went back through all the equations. Quentin fell asleep and was soon snoring. After the math, I did the drawings again. Mom had given up on calling us to supper. Quentin rose from the bed, stretching and yawning, and again perused my work. Then he carefully stacked the notebook pages, squared them off, patted them, and looked at me out of the tops of his eyes in that significant way he had. "Prodigious work, Sonny." "You think so?" I said it quietly, but I wanted to shout to the sky my relief. "I think this is going to be a great rocket." "Let's show it to Mom," I said. Dad was at the mine, and anyway, I didn't figure he'd care to see what we'd done. Quentin and I carried the sheath of papers and drawings to her. She was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping coffee and looking over the new Sears Roebuck catalog. She put it aside to look at our work. While she did so, Quentin's stomach growled audibly. "What now, boys?" she said, after giving each page a careful inspection. "We're going to build a great rocket, Mrs. Hickam," Quentin told her. "Thank you."
Hi, I'm Leona Ripple, and this is my dog, Mizzy. She is 25% Golden Retriever and 75% Poodle. Full disclosure, I love her more than any other living thing. This sounds like an exaggeration, but it really isn't. And that's not only because she looks adorable trying to get a carrot peel off the top of her head, but also because Mizzy is one of the few things in this world that can cheer me up no matter what mood I'm in. Most dog owners keep a special place in their hearts for their furry friend, but the connection between dogs and humans has been developing for thousands of years. I wanted to explore the bond between humans and dogs that led me to be able to call Mizzy my pup. So, today, we will be talking about how the coevolution of dogs and humans has helped both the physical and mental health of humans. Now, although when the domestication of dogs occurred is heavily debated among scientists, one thing is for sure. Dogs and humans grew together because of it. Homo sapiens, which is what we are, began evolving around 400,000 years ago. Humans began domesticating dogs approximately 25,000 years ago. It is believed that the domestication of dogs began when wolves would lurk around hunter-gatherer clans to scavenge the leftover food. As wolves were good hunters, the hunter-gatherers began to work with the wolves to get their food. This being said, it is highly doubtful that all wolves were accepted into the clans. Dogs that were more calm and cute were more likely the ones that the hunter-gatherers took in. I mean, if you were given the choice of which wolf would you take as your pet, either this one or this one, would you really want to take the one on the left? Didn't think so. And it's no wonder that wolves and humans work well together. Humans have a very strong sense of sight, while wolves complement that with their strong sense of smelling and hearing. As hunter-gatherers began to welcome wolves into their lives, genetic changes were already happening. Studies today have shown that genes related to diet, disease, and brain processing in dogs and humans have evolved parallel to each other for centuries. Adding on to that, we have further evidence that wolves were accepted into hunter-gatherer packs and even ate what the humans were eating. Some researchers analyzing bone marrow from both wolves and domesticated dogs found a higher than average rate of nitrogen and carbon in the dog's bones compared with the wolves. This evidence suggests that dogs did not rely strictly on a carnivorous diet like wolves did. Elements such as nitrogen and carbon are strongly associated with what humans eat, such as seafood and specific grains. This chemical evidence exemplifies the transition from wolves to dogs. Clearly, wolves and humans have grown essentially into what dogs and owners are today. This long-standing bond impacts not only our physical connection with dogs, but also our body's chemical response. The key player in this reaction? Oxytocin, otherwise known as the love hormone. When oxytocin is released, we feel happy, loved, as if we can conquer anything. This hormone is most commonly associated with mother-child bonding during breastfeeding. However, a more universal example would be cuddling. When two people cuddle, oxytocin is released in their brains, creating feelings of happiness and love and improved mood. The increase in affection between humans is also apparent in dog and human interactions. One study found that over a period of 30 minutes, dogs and owners who spent more time looking at each other both had an increase in oxytocin levels. As oxytocin levels increase, we feel an even stronger connection to our furry friends. Now, you may be saying, okay, yes, I love my dog more than anything in the world, but what's so special about that? Well, it turns out that that special connection that humans and dogs can make can be put to an extremely good use, bettering the physical and mental health of humans. As stated before, humans can develop deep emotional connections with pets that they can't find with other people. Although some people might find it amusing when dogs can't differentiate between themselves and a mirror, this naiveness comes in handy for people with mental health issues. Dogs don't pay attention to the scars on your arms, the pills you take, or the lack of contact you have with other people. They just know that you are their owner and you deserve all of their love and affection. This gives people a feeling of belonging, which can even dissipate suicidal thoughts because people know that their dogs are relying on them. Take Adam Renteria. He was an Afghanistan war veteran who spent 6 years in a combat zone. When he returned to America, he developed PTSD and dove into a deep depression, which involved fighting and drinking. When he was finally able to get himself help, his mom suggested Pets for Vets, an organization that pairs military veterans with service dogs. Renteria was paired with a white Korean Jindo named Rakasan. At first, Renteria didn't think much of Rakasan, but as they spent more and more time together, Renteria was truly able to see how much having a dog at his side helped him adjust to normal life, even more so than therapy. Having Rakasan by his side every day grounded him, and because dogs are in tune with our emotions, Rakasan knew when Renteria was feeling depressed and gave him the extra love that Renteria needed. Furthermore, the affection that dogs provide for their owners could have drastic effects on the well-being of humans if implemented more often. Combat veterans, like Renteria, are not the only people who benefit from having dogs around, though. More and more schools are beginning to invest in therapy dogs to have on campus as a service for their students. Take Virginia Commonwealth University as an example. They created a program called Pause for Stress, where students can interact with therapy dogs during finals. Sandra Barker, a researcher at the Center for Human-Animal Interaction at VCU, organized the event in hopes of alleviating student stress. And her results paid off. She recalled how one student came in complaining of a headache from studying too much, and yet that headache all but disappeared for the student after only 5 minutes of playing with the therapy dogs. Clearly, our furry friends can have quite the positive impact on our moods. However, it's not only emotional health that dogs benefit in humans. Many studies have also shown instances where dogs play a key role in helping us stay physically healthy. A study done by Uppsala University in Sweden found that dog owners had a significantly lower risk of death, specifically from cardiovascular disease. There are many reasons for this correlation, though the senior author of the study, Tofal, believes that dogs help promote physical activity in their owners' lives. It is relatively common knowledge that dogs, unlike most other pets, need a fair amount of physical engagement during the day, such as playing fetch or going for walks. However, these activities can't be done alone by the dogs. Owners need to be present to lead the leash or throw the ball. While this may not seem like enough exercise to greatly benefit someone's physical health, it really adds up. Say you own a dog and take it for 2 15-minute walks every day. This means that, as an owner, you are walking for 210 minutes a week. This surpasses the Department of Health and Human Services suggestion of 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week, and it doesn't even begin to take into account the other activities that the owner does without their pet. So, clearly, the complex connection between dogs and humans that has developed over thousands of years can play a critical role in the well-being of humans. In short, happy dog, happy life. It is already proven that dogs help the human race when detecting diseases like cancer, providing support for those with disabilities, and sniffing out bombs or drugs. Increasing awareness about how dogs can benefit both physical and mental health will add on to this ever-growing list. And the need for dogs and pets in general to soothe humans during times of stress has never been more evident than now, as our world struggles with the coronavirus pandemic. Already struggling with anxiety, the upending by life of the coronavirus created unfathomable stress levels in my life. My dog Mizzy, though, has been an everlasting source of joy during these trying times. As I take her for a walk or snuggle with her on the couch, I notice my anxiety slowly slipping away as I'm overtaken by her bountiful love for the little things in life. The nation has seen a sharp increase in the number of dog adoptions, leaving countless shelters empty as humans look for a pet to help them cope with the stress of what we're all going through. And even after the pandemic is under control, dogs will continue to play a pivotal role in their owner's health. Thank you.
Is Colombia handling the migration from Venezuela properly? Before we begin, allow me to first provide background on the immigration and emigration of these two foreign nations in South America. From the 1950s to the early 1980s, the Venezuelan economy was booming and became one of the strongest and most prosperous in South America. This was a result of high profits from high oil prices, the core of Venezuela's economy. But that all changed when the Maduro regime took power a decade ago. A drop in Venezuela's oil production from lack of maintenance and investments, and now the currency is essentially worthless. Add political instability, world-high murder rates, and inflation by over 2,000%, and the result is the country's own citizens fleeing their homeland. And that's why Colombia, which has historically been a source of migration rather than a destination, has seen a new home to over 5.4 million Venezuelan refugees and migrants. There is an ongoing crisis here in Venezuela, an ongoing economic and humanitarian emergency that continues to see no end in the near future. Today, I will tell you why Venezuela is doing the right thing by accepting Venezuelan immigrants with open arms and open borders. Point number 1. Venezuelan leadership is taking proactive measures in times of crisis. A few weeks ago, Venezuelan migrants in Colombia welcomed a historic decision by the country to grant them protection for the next 10 years and increase measures that make it easier to get jobs and access to social services. Additionally, Colombian President Iván Duque announced that last month, over 24,000 children born in Venezuelan refugees will be granted Colombian citizenship. It fulfills Colombia's national and international obligations with regards to children's rights. The fact that any child can be registered despite their parents' legal status is particularly valuable in these unprecedented times. As a result of actions like these, Colombia now holds the most number of Venezuelan refugees in the world, providing a home to those in crisis. This brings me to my next point. Point number 2. Colombia is setting an example for the world to follow. When President Ivan Duque announced that Colombia will grant approximately 1.7 Venezuelan migrants and refugees in the country complementary protection and legal status for over a decade, the international response was swift and positive. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, Philip Grandi, called the February 9th decision historic and said that it was one of the region's most important humanitarian gesture in decades. This decision will save lives, said former US President Bill Clinton. In fact, since then, Ecuador, Peru, and Chile have followed Colombia's lead. In a time where international tensions are high, Colombia has taken the first step towards dismantling militarization and xenophobia. When we take a look back on these times in the future, we will see Colombia on the right side of history, welcoming refugees and helping the most vulnerable people in Venezuela. Finally, point number 3. Mass migration brings economic benefits. Over time, real GDP growth is expected to increase as the size and skill of the labor force expand, as many Venezuelan migrants bring relatively high levels of education and skills. Factors such as familiar language and culture may also help migrants from Venezuela integrate more easily into Colombia. In short, Venezuelan migration is estimated to raise GDP growth by a significant 0.1 to 0.3 percentage points during 2017 to 2030. In the large scale of things, mass migration brings these economic benefits at little to no cost, while also helping these migrants find a place of refuge. Now, I'm going to sum up the 3 points I've made so far. Number 1, Colombia leadership is taking proactive measures in times of crisis. Number 2, Colombia is setting an example for the world to follow. And number 3, mass migration brings economic benefits. In the words of Jorge Ramos, the greatest nations are defined by how they treat their weakest inhabitants. Let's applaud Colombia's response to the Venezuelan crisis. Thank you so much.
My name is Dylan Campbell, and I'm going to be performing The Day the Crayons Came Home in the Children's Literature category. When it comes to little kiddos, they have one talent that stands out above all the rest: losing things. They could lose the smallest Lego piece that is crucial to the structural integrity of the Death Star, or they could lose your phone when you set it on a coffee table for 10 seconds and walk away. And worst of all, they can misplace their beloved crayons, which they use every day. How do you think those crayons feel when they're mistreated, lost, and forgotten? And now, The Day the Crayons Came Home by Drew Daywalt. One day, Duncan and his crayons were happily coloring together when a strange stack of postcards arrived for him in the mail. Dear Duncan, not sure if you remember me. My name is Maroon Crayon. You colored with me once to draw a scabe, but whatever. Anyway, you lost me 2 years ago in couch. Then your dad sat on me and broke me in half. I never would have survived had Paperclip not nursed me back to health. I'm finally feeling better, so could you please come and get me? And can Paperclip come too? He's really been holding me together. Sincerely, your Marooned Crayon. Maroon Crayon.
Dear Duncan, no one likes peas. No one even likes the color pea green. So I'm changing my name and I'm running away to see the world. Sincerely, Esteban the Magnificent!
Hey Duncan, it's me, Neon Red Crayon. Remember the great holiday we had with your family? Remember how we laughed when we drew that picture of your dad's sunburn? Remember when you dropped me beside the hotel pool and left me there? Clearly you do not, because I am still here. How could you miss me? Anyway, after 8 months of waiting and waiting for you to come and get me, I guess I am walking back. Your left behind friend, Neon Red Crayon.
Duncan, it's us! Yellow and orange crayon! We know we used to argue over which of us was the color of the sun, but guess what? Neither of us wants to be the color of the sun anymore. Not since we were left outside and the sun melted us together! You know the real color of the sun? Hot! That's what. We're sorry for arguing. You can make green the color of the sun for all we care. Just bring us home, your not so sunny friends, yellow and orange crayon. Hey, Duncan. I'm sure you don't recognize me after all the horrors I've been through. I think I was tan crayon, or maybe burnt sienna. I don't know. I can't tell anymore. Have you ever been eaten by a dog and then chewed up and puked out onto the living room rug? Because, Duncan, I was eaten by a dog, chewed up, and it puked out onto the living room rug. And it's not pretty, Duncan. Not pretty at all. I'm more carpet fuzz than I am crayon now. Can you please bring me back your indigestible friend, tan or possibly burnt sienna crayon?
Dear Duncan, could you please open the front door? I still need to see the world. Sincerely, Esteban the Magnificent!
Hey, Duncan, remember last Halloween when we told your little brother there was a ghost underneath the basement stairs? Then we drew all that scary stuff on the wall. It sure was funny when he ran screaming back to your mommy, right? But it wasn't so funny when you forgot to take me out of your basement. I'm kind of terribly horrified. So please come and get me, your scared friend, glow-in-the-dark crayon.
Dear Duncan, looks like I'm almost home. I've been through China, Canada, and France. I think. Just crossing Newcastle by camel now. Newcastle has giant great pyramids, right? Right? See you soon, Neon Red Crayon. P.S. Next stop is the North Pole, I think.
Duncan, does Payday Pirate Island ring a bell? Kind of a big payday for Captain Greenbeard, don't you think? But there was no bronze or silver in that pile. Oh, no. I told you it would make me blunt if you colored in each coin individually. But would you listen? No. I also told you that those stupid crayon sharpeners never work. But did you listen to that? Also no. Now I can't color anything at all. You're pointless, friend. Gold crayon.
Dear Duncan, I have seen the world. It's rainy. I'm coming back. Sincerely, Esteban the Magnificent!
Ah, Duncan, you're probably wondering why my head is stuck to your sock. A question I ask myself every day. Well, it's because last week you left me in your pocket when your clothes went into the dryer. While I was spinning around in there, I fell out of your pocket and landed on your sock. And now he is stuck to my head. Can you please come and get me? Also, why does everything you wear still smell after it's been washed? Your stinky socky stuck on head buddy, turquoise crayon. P.S. Sock, he says hi.
Dear Mr. Duncan, I know I am not your crayon, and I know I belong to your baby brother, but I just can't take him anymore. In the last week alone, he's bitten off the top of my head, shoved me up the cat's nose, colored on the wall with me, and tried to draw rubbish with me. And the worst part of it all is he is a terrible artist. I can't tell you what his drawings are. Donkeys, monkeys, donkey monkeys. Picasso said every child is an artist, but I don't know. I don't think he ever met your brother. Please rescue me. Your desperate friend, Big Chunky Toddler Crayon.
Duncan, greetings from the Amazon rainforest, making great time. I think I am almost home. Neon Red Crayon.
Hello, Duncan. It's me, Brown Crayon. You know exactly why I ran away, buddy. Everyone thinks I get the great coloring jobs. Chocolate, puppies, ponies. Lucky me, right? But I bet they don't know what else you used me to color, do they? I didn't think so. The rest of that drawing, it was magnificent. With that giant, great brown tree and that beautiful brown bear. But did it really need that final brown scribble right on the ground next to the bear? I'll come back, but let's just stick to chocolate. Okay, buddy? Your very embarrassed friend, Brown Crayon. Duncan was sad to learn of all his crayons he'd lost, forgotten, and neglected over the years, so he ran around gathering them up. But Duncan's crayons were all so damaged and differently shaped than they used to be that they no longer fit into the crayon box. So Duncan had an idea. He built a place where each crayon would feel at home. The Crayon Fort.
My name is Mary Shawn, and this is for Poetry. Self-reflection and wonder are part of human nature, but what happens when they get in the way of our relationships with others and the world around us? In the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, the speaker reckons with life's existential questions and grapples with the relationship between concrete and abstract. I read this poem for summer homework and absolutely fell in love with its musings on identity and time. And now, the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and, seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet, There will be time to murder and create, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed, there will be time to wonder, do I dare? And do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin! My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin! Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room, so how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out the butt ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare, but in the lamplight downed with light brown hair. Is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or wrap about a shawl. And should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say, I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt sleeves leaning out of windows? I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired, or it malingers, stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head, grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I have seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it, after all, After the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all, I shall tell you all, if one, settling a pillow by her head, should say, that is not what I meant at all. That is not it at all. And would it have been worth it? After all, would it have been worthwhile after the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, after the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor, and this and so much more? It is impossible to say just what I mean. But as if a magic lantern threw the nerves in patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile if one, settling a pillow or throwing off a shawl and turning toward the window, should say, that is not it at all. That is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, politic, cautious, and meticulous, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse, at times indeed almost ridiculous, almost at times the fool. I grow old, I grow old, I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea by sea-girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown.
My name is Catherine Goff, and today I'm going to be performing my persuasive piece, Sexism in Star Wars Toys. I hope you enjoy. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the Star Wars franchise, and that's important. Whether you're a woman, a man, a girl, a boy, a teenager, everybody knows about Star Wars, about the heroic band of misfits coming together to take down the oppressive enemy, about Luke Skywalker and Han Solo and Princess Leia, and now Rey and Finn and Poe and Kylo Ren. Everyone can enjoy Star Wars, and everyone has. Considering that The Force Awakens sold well over 100 million tickets worldwide, I'd say demand is still thriving. And most importantly, fans liked the new movie. It was that classic Star Wars feeling all over again, but with a new cast of characters and groups that were now represented, with people that little kids could look up to on the screen and see themselves in. Now, obviously, the new trilogy was a huge win for on-screen racial diversity. It was also a huge win for feminism. Rey is who I'm getting at here. Audiences, especially little girls around the globe, were thrilled to see a strong female character in the spotlight of the new trilogy, as the main character, no less, the new Luke Skywalker. And who couldn't fall in love with Rey? She's strong, independent, compassionate, and just really, really cool. Now, it's amazing that little girls can have Rey as a role model. They just can't have her as a toy. Shortly before the Force Awakens movie came out, the hashtag #Where'sRey appeared on Twitter. The hashtag brought to light the apparent lack of Rey toys and merchandise sold in stores compared to her male counterparts in the movie, Finn and Poe, which fans were quick to notice. Photos started circulating of Target and Walmart shelves stocked full of Star Wars toys with no Rey dolls or Lego sets in sight. And it's not like there were any other women featured either. One of the main issues that gained a lot of coverage over social media was the Star Wars Force Awakens Monopoly game by Hasbro. It featured 4 characters: Luke Skywalker, Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, and Finn, not Rey. Even though, again, Rey is the main character, she should be featured in things like this. So when she wasn't, people fought back online. Hasbro was quick to make a statement regarding the game, saying there was not sufficient interest for a Rey character, which is absolutely absurd. Again, Rey is the main character, and interest in the movie is an interest in her. Eventually, though, Hasbro began manufacturing a new version of the game with a Rey figure instead. This isn't the only instance of Rey being left out of toy sets, though. The Star Wars action figure 6-pack sold at Target to this day. 4 male characters with no real connection to one another and 2 unnamed First Order troopers. No Rey. The Star Wars Lego Force Awakens Advent Calendar from that year, no Rey. The Millennium Falcon set, Chewbacca and Finn and a droid. Not the woman who actually flies the ship. I sifted through as many Lego sets from that year as I could find, and toys, and there were just more and more instances just like these. Now, I imagine this was incredibly disheartening for the parents of little girls trying to get them excited about these new movies. Even more so for the girls who were excited to go to the store to pick up some Rey toys, only to find there weren't very many at all. It's disparaging, isn't it? The difference between Disney's messaging and Disney's marketing. These little toy snubs may not feel like big deals, but if you think about it, if you're going to have a female main character as the face of the new era of one of the biggest film franchises of all time, and you won't put her in any of the merchandise, it seems like you're pandering to the female audience without actually being able to commit to the female main character. Now that's my problem. Now obviously, Disney recognized this to some degree. Even J.J. Abrams, the director of the new trilogy, said, "It seems preposterous and wrong that the main character of the movie is not being well represented in what is clearly a huge part of the Star Wars world in terms of merchandising." So, in 2017, Disney launched their Forces of Destiny doll line and miniseries, which was Disney's only real attempt at a toy line and show targeted specifically at young girls. Now, I don't have any other way of putting it, these were bad. And as someone who absolutely would have bought these toys and watched this show had they come out a few years prior, I feel like I had the right to say that. Now, there were 6 dolls released in the first toy launch. Sabine Wren, who is canon, but not in any of the movies. Jyn Erso, who dies in an explosion, and I sure hope no little girl has seen that movie. Rey, Leia, Rey in a different outfit, and Leia in a different outfit. Those were their 6 different and original dolls. See the problem here? Not only did Disney unintentionally expose themselves for literally only having 2 recognizable female characters, but these dolls all look the same. Except for Sabine, they're all white women with brown hair. Not only does this lack necessary diversity, but from a marketing perspective, for a doll line, that isn't exactly exciting. Yes, their facial features and outfits are a little bit different, but I promise you, if I gave those dolls to a 6-year-old and said they were all the same girl, she wouldn't doubt me. And what about the miniseries? 2 seasons of 2 to 3 minute webisodes on YouTube. The animation was poor, and the plots were all the same. Small animal gets trapped or captured. Star Wars girl rescues small animal. That's it. And honestly, what else could we expect? Those characters are from totally different time periods, so it's not like there could be any real canon interactions between them. It's no real surprise that the fan response to this show was overwhelmingly negative. Now, it's easy to dismiss these low ratings because, on the one hand, of course, we have the toxic old men of the Star Wars fandom groaning and grumbling about the social justice warriors are ruining Star Wars because finally something exists that isn't made for them. But on the other hand, we have the real parents of little girls who watched these along with their daughters and thought, hey, these are awful. My kid is supposed to watch this? What hurts the most about this whole thing is that it could have been fantastic. It could have been a chance for Disney to show that little girls can fall in love with Star Wars just as much as anyone else. That little girls are just as valuable to Disney just as much as any other fan. This could have been a chance for Disney to turn over a new leaf and start to make meaningful changes to the Star Wars world and series. A doll line. In Star Wars, we're talking about a galaxy with thousands of planets, beautiful settings, amazing alien species, gorgeous fashion. They could have made an entirely new female set of characters for these dolls. Maybe a socialite Togruta from Coruscant, an aspiring painter from Alderaan, even another Tatooine native. Those girls could have all been from the same time period, could have had adventures together, could have different skin tones and hair colors and pretty outfits and distinct character traits and personality flaws, all of which are things vital to a successful and interesting set of dolls. Instead, though, what we got was the real Forces of Destiny dolls, which can barely be called dolls. Their clothing isn't really removable. They don't come with multiple outfits or bendable knees or anything. They have brushable hair, but that's kind of it. You can't do the things that little girls normally do with dolls with these toys. So, at the end of the day, what does that make them? Action figures, but worse. Action figures, but for girls. And I mean, you can barely act out any action scenes with them. They're 11 inches tall. You don't see many Barbies going around on sword fighting trips because that's just not something you can do with that kind of toy. Forces of Destiny didn't last 3 years. It was all canceled. You can't find any of it in stores now, and there's not even many dolls left on eBay. This is what we're giving our little girls. Poorly produced, cheap webisodes with characters they don't know, plot lines they don't care about, and dolls that instead of trying to genuinely stimulate an interest in Star Wars for little girls, end up just looking like a weak, watered-down version of the toys that already existed for boys. Disney, if you were going to reintroduce Star Wars with a female main character, but disclude her from all of the merchandising, it feels like you're pandering to women to get more action at the box office without actually committing to the representation you're promising. The women of Star Wars are Star Wars characters. The female fans of Star Wars are Star Wars fans, and they should be treated as such. This is not what little girls deserve. They don't deserve a sloppy afterthought, some dolls, some episodes that Disney clearly didn't put very much effort into in an effort to cover their tracks after some social media scandal. Little girls who love Star Wars are just as valuable to the franchise as any other fan, and they need to be treated as such. In the Star Wars universe, a galaxy so big and so diverse and so beautiful, shouldn't there be a place in it for everyone? A toy for everyone. Thank you.
My name is Wendy 2, and I'm going to be performing in the closet in the original works category. My work is inspired by the song My R by Hikaru Station, which was created in the wake of increasing high school suicide rates in Japan. This piece does contain heavy references to suicide, but to clarify, I myself am not suicidal. And now, the closet. There's a storage closet at the end of the hall. Away from off-white walls humming with the students they contained, a door that blended in, touched but not noticed by the eyes of passerby. It was perfect. The chemical stench of cleaner was stronger in there, and the tiny space was stuffed with the tools that made it so, but that didn't matter. What mattered was the hook fixated on the ceiling and the coil of thick, bristly rope stashed behind the mop bucket, both likely enough to support the 43-kilogram body of me. I was going to do it today, not because today was a special day, but because it felt right. But when does it ever feel right to kill yourself? It wasn't a question I wanted to bother myself with, not right then, so I asked the teacher if I could go to the bathroom. This was another thing I had planned because at lunchtime, there was a chance that someone would notice a too skinny, too nervous girl slipping into a closet that wasn't there before, or maybe they hadn't noticed it. That chance was small, but it wasn't a risk I was willing to take. The teacher let me go without much other than a glance, and I made my escape. The empty hallway echoed the tap-tapping of my shiny black shoes, reminding me that I was going to be alone in what I was about to do. I savored this clean white silence as it would probably be the last one I would hear. Approaching the invisible but not invisible storage closet door, I straightened my back, reached out, turned the knob, heard the click. But someone was already there. The words tumbled out just as my mixed feelings got the chance to mix. "Wait!" I cried out hoarsely, my unused vocal cords complaining. The girl before me was short and oh so skinny, her trembling shoulders sticking out against her too big uniform shirt and her braids woven with too thin, neglected black hair. Her wide dark eyes welled up with tears as she abruptly turned toward me, and I could see the guilt in her drooping hands as her fingers clutched the coil of bristly rope I had fantasized about so much before. "Don't do it. Please?" I hesitantly continued. The tears that caught in her eyes now overflowed. "My grades, they've been dropping recently. Well, not recently, but for a while now. And I don't know what to do. I can't eat. Mommy's mad at me, says I can't go to university, can't get a job, can't live at this rate. And maybe she's right. Maybe I can't do all that now. Maybe it's too late and that it'd just be easier to stop while I have the chance," she wobbled. "What? How dare you give up so easily like that?" I hissed, my brows furrowing. "How dare you come here before I did with such a pathetic reason? At least you have someone to talk to, someone who cares about your grades and how you're doing and that you had enough to eat for lunch. But no, you throw all that away to the mercy of a piece of string? What are you doing here?" The girl crossed her bony arms over her chest, clutching her now still shoulders. Her tears had dried in disbelief of my outburst. "Thank you for listening." Then the girl with the too big shirt and the too thin braids disappeared. I tried again the next day, but there was another one. This girl's eyes flickered this way and that, as if trying to hide from the hostility she seemed to be sure I had. "Wait," I pleaded once again. "Don't do it. Please?" "No one wants me here. They tell me that every single day, and I don't know what else to do to end it. So I came here." Her voice skittered, like a cricket jumping this way and that to avoid the predator that no one else could see. My anger flowed to the pit of my stomach once again. "Are you serious?" I barked. "How dare you come here before I did with such a pathetic reason? At least you're still wanted at home, that you have a mother and a father and dinner waiting for you who will listen and help you much better than a rope of rope can. Why can't you just go?" The girl looked me in the eye for the first time, as if finding something she never dreamed she would find. "Thank you for listening." Then the girl with the flickering eyes disappeared. It went on for a while. Every time I would try to escape to the closet, I would find it occupied. I always talked the girls out of the act. I saved each and every one, except for today. This girl wore black stockings instead of the school-issued knee-highs, and a long-sleeve sweater over her uniform shirt. She didn't flinch when she saw me or lower her eyes like the others had done, but instead bore her empty gaze into mine. Every time I go home, new scars appear. Her sweater sleeve shifted slightly, and I could see the bandages tightly wrapped around her arm underneath it. So I thought I'd make my own, to finish them off. She gave me a wry smile. I couldn't breathe. Finally, someone with the same problems as me. When I finally spoke, I said something I couldn't believe. Wait, don't do it. Please? I trembled and felt tears start to flow. What do I do? How could I stop this girl when I couldn't even stop myself? A sob racked my body and I felt my face crumple. The girl's smile disappeared. She fixed me with her empty gaze once again. I guess today just isn't my day. Then the girl with the bandages disappeared. Today, I find the storage closet empty. I breathe a sigh of what I hope is relief and get ready. I undo the braids knotted in my too thin hair, feeling my too big shirt slide across my arms. I prop up a bucket to stand on before I reach up to the hook with the rope, as I'm rather short. My eyes flicker around, making sure I'm alone and have everything I need. I tighten the knot of the rope, noticing my sweater sleeve slipping down and exposing the bandages on my wrist. I glance one last time at my reflection on the mirror propped at the back of the closet, at the girl staring back at me. The one with the dropping grades that no one at school likes, that finds no home in the house she returns to at the end of each day. I sigh, slip the loop over my head, and step off the bucket. The last thing I see before the world fades out is someone opening the door. Wait!
Hi, my name is Haley Madison Sebastian, and this is an excerpt from Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson for the Humorous Interpretation category. Marriage. What a time. And now, Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson. Dear Victor, this bath towel was wet, and you left it on the floor, and it was the last clean one in the house. I'm pretty sure this is how tuberculosis is spread. I'm writing all this on my blog in case I end up dead because of your carelessness. Dear Victor, there is a pile of business suits for the dry cleaners that have been in the closet for 5 months. We work from home. All of us work from home. What the fuck, Victor? Dear Victor, why is cleaning up cat vomit always my job? Was I not here when we picked from the job jar? Is there a job jar at all? Because if so, I'd like to redraw. Also, I'm aware that you always have to clean out the litter box, but that's because at any moment, my IUD could fail, and I could accidentally get pregnant and get that cat poop pregnancy disease, and then our baby could be born with no arms or legs. And is that what you want, Victor, for our baby to not have arms? You are so selfish. Dear Victor, you make me sick. Why, in God's name, wouldn't you just throw away the empty pizza box when you were done with it? Are your arms broken? Do you have some sort of disease I don't know about that makes you blind to empty pizza boxes? Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Dear Victor. Okay, I just remembered I was the last one to make pizza. So I guess I left the box out. Still, I'm leaving the note anyway so you can learn from it. Bad, bad, Victor. Dear Victor, I do not appreciate your leaving passive-aggressive addendums to my helpful post-it notes. In fact, yours are just the opposite of helpful. They're just bitter. Dear Victor, if you leave wet towels on the ground again, I will stab you. Dear Victor, I would appreciate it if you would talk to me directly instead of yelling at me on a post-it. These post-its are for educational purposes, not to draw lewd caricatures of hands pointing menacingly at me. Also, you're supposed to draw with your index finger. This is basic pointing etiquette. Dear Victor, I've poisoned something in the fridge. Good luck with that. Dear Victor, I'm sorry. I think I might have PMS. I don't know what's wrong with me. Dear Victor, that was an apology, you asshole. Now there are 2 things poisoned in the fridge because you don't know how to accept a fucking apology. Dear Victor, I am so sorry you're sick. I swear I was just kidding about poisoning something in the fridge. Okay, fine. I did leave the yogurt out for like half a day, but that was because I was so distracted by the wet towel you left on the ground. If anything, you brought this on yourself. But once again, I apologize. Dear Victor, I love you, but I'm kind of getting weak from hunger, and I know you said you didn't poison anything, but every time I take a bite of something, you leer and laugh suspiciously, and I have to spit it out. I can only assume this is how Gandhi felt when he wasn't allowed to eat. Here's a hint. He felt savvy! Dear Victor, okay, first of all, you don't know that Gandhi went on a hunger strike on purpose. For all we know, he was avoiding being poisoned too. The ones who survive are the ones who write the history, Victor, not the ones who end up dead because their husbands may or may not have poisoned something in the fridge. But guess what? This is all going on my blog so I can document this in case people find my emaciated body later and demand justice. The reckoning is coming, and it will be brutal and swift. Shit. Okay. Dear Victor, great! We're out of Post-its. I'm writing this on the towel you left on the ground this morning since we obviously have no respect for towels anymore. I'm going to the grocery store for more Post-its, and I'm going to eat unpoisoned Triscuits straight out of the box while I'm there, so I will return fresh and renewed. Also, the cat vomited in the hallway, and I'm not cleaning that up. I have had enough, Victor, and so has the cat, whom I'm assuming you poisoned. You know what? Dear Victor, the cat and I are leaving you. You can have the dog. Also, I decided to not get Post-it notes after all because I'm no longer speaking with you. So I'm just writing this on your hand towel. You will never hear from me again. Dear Victor, the dog started whining when I told him he had to stay with you, so I'm taking him too. What? Dear Victor, yes, actually, I was holding a bag of dog treats when I told him he had to stay with you, but I don't think that had anything to do with his reaction. Also, we're running out of dish towels, so this will be my last message to you. Okay. Here, buddy. Dear Victor. Okay, fine. You can have the dog. I tried to put him in the car, and he peed on me. You two deserve each other. I'm writing this on the dog because it seemed fitting. Also, I couldn't find packing peanuts for the booze, so I just drank it all. You will miss me so much once I'm sober enough to get up and drive away. Oh my God. Okay, here. Don't scratch me. Dear Victor, okay. Wow, that got really out of hand. I'm sending the cat in as a peace offering. I forgive you for all the stuff you wrote on the walls about my sister, and I'm going to just ignore the stuff you wrote about my giant ass. Because I love you, and you need me. Who else loves you enough to send you notes written on cats? Nobody, that's who. Also, I stapled a picture of us from our wedding day to the cat's left leg. Don't we look happy? We can be like that again. Just stop leaving wet towels on the ground. That's literally all I ask of you. I'm low maintenance like that. Also, this cat needs to go on a diet. I shouldn't be able to write this much on a cat and still have room left over. Victor forgave me, and we all lived happily ever after. Except for the cat who had to have his leg amputated, but that was less from the infection and more from this poor circulation he had because he was so fat. But then now he's less fat, by like a whole leg.
Being a vet is not easy. You have to deal with pet parents and sick animals. It's not an easy job.
And sometimes it can be more difficult to deal with the pet parents than the pets themselves.
And now, One Fine Day at the Vet
by Claire Demmer.
Mrs. Jones and Fluffy?
Here.
Hi, right this way. Hi, good morning.
I don't think it is, do you?
Well, let's see. What can I help you with today?
I don't think there's anything you can do, really.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. What seems to be the issue?
It's Fluffy.
Yes?
I've tried everything. Nothing seems to help.
Okay, all right. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? Okay, Fluffy, when was he last vaccinated?
Oh, I never put poison into my pets.
So not vaccinated then?
Goodness me, no.
Okay, and how old is little Fluffy?
48 months old last week.
So 4 years?
Yeah. And 1 week.
Okay, 4 years and 1 week.
So young.
Ma'am, is Fluffy ill? Okay. Do you mind if I take a look at him?
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, hi there. Oh, he's so cute. Hi. Ow, mother! Oh my God, that's
Traumatized him.
Is Fluffy normally like this?
He's a very good judge of character. He doesn't like the vets, bless him.
He bit me.
Well, it is your job, isn't it?
Well, do you think you can get him out?
No, I wouldn't want to stress him out.
Oh, okay. Can I maybe take him to the back so that a nurse could help me with him?
Not being funny, but I don't know you. I don't know how you are with animals.
I see. Mrs. Jones, what exactly do you want me to do with your cat?
Oh, I think he needs to go over the Rainbow Bridge. Bless him.
The Rainbow Bridge?
Yes.
Oh, you mean like the Rainbow Bridge?
Yes, it's his time.
Ma'am, since I'm unable to look at him, do you mind telling me what is the matter with your cat? Like, what made you decide that Fluffy is able to go over the bridge?
As I said, I've tried everything. I've even been on Google.
Which naturally gave you the answers you were looking for.
Well, yes.
And what does Google think?
It's cancer.
I see.
So you say there's nothing you can do to help him?
What if, I'm just putting this out there, what if there is something I can do to help him?
Oh no, I don't think there is.
But what if there was?
I wouldn't want to put him through all that.
I understand your hesitation, ma'am, but...
I am not giving my cat chemotherapy, and that is final.
Whoa! We don't even know if it's cancer!
Oh, I know.
But I don't.
And what difference does that make?
Because I'm the one you brought him to. I'm the one that's going to have to possibly send him over the Rainbow Bridge.
Yes.
And I'm the one who has to reach into that basket.
Yes.
Get badly bitten.
Yes.
And put to sleep a young animal who might be in a perfectly curable condition.
How much is it then?
The consult is $35.95, and once we know exactly what we're doing here, I can give you a better estimate.
$35.95? That's ridiculous. You haven't even touched him.
Yes, but I'd like to examine him before making my final decisions.
Not paying, and that's final. I didn't bring him here so you could examine him. I brought him here so you can put him to sleep, and that's what I want you to do.
And how do you propose I do that?
However you normally do that. It's not my place to tell you how to do your job.
Ma'am, that would involve getting him out of the basket and sedatives. Very, very high doses of sedatives.
Sedatives?
Yes, we'd have to sedate him inside of his basket, and once he's asleep, we'd have to take him out and examine him and decide what is really the right move.
I just told you I'm not paying for that.
Well, I have to examine him to make sure it's the right decision.
No, you don't.
Mrs. Jones, I am not putting him to sleep until I know what's wrong with him.
Cancer.
It might not be cancer. It could be anything.
You don't know that.
Well, I won't know until I can examine him.
I am not paying $35.95 plus whatever outrageous fees you charge so you can drive home in your Porsche every night. Bullied clients out of their hard-earned money.
I drive a battered up Renault Clio.
Really? Well, it's not my fault you're no good with money.
Really? Well, it seems we're at an impasse then.
Don't you use your fancy bet words on me?
I mean, there's nothing more that can be done.
I know. That's why I'm here.
I'm not putting him to sleep, Mrs. Jones, unless it's justifiable.
What?
Unless it's the right thing to do.
It is.
Let me rephrase this. Since I'm the one taking his life over the Rainbow Bridge, I'm the one who has to know that in my heart, it is truly the right thing to do.
I'll tell you what. Since it's so important to you in your heart, I'll let you examine him for free.
Mrs. Jones, the consult fee is for my professional time.
Well, if you really did this because you loved animals, you wouldn't charge for it.
Okay, so you're willing to allow me to examine Fluffy for free, and then you will let me charge you to put him to sleep.
Yes, for the good of my beloved pet.
And this is why I drive a battered up Renault Clio.
For Fluffy, bless his little soul.
Fine. But if we go ahead with letting Fluffy go, do you agree that you will pay the fee?
Of course.
For Fluffy.
For Fluffy.
Okay then, I will be back in a bit. Oh, God. All right, okay, all right. Janice, no, that's a sedative. Okay, no, just, oh, I'm literally holding him. Get that. Janice, ow, that is my arm, Janice. Okay, ow, okay, all right. Mrs. Jones, I have some good news for you.
Really?
Fluffy does not have cancer.
Oh, I'm so relieved.
Yeah, when we sedated him, we found a large lump on his tummy, but that was all matted fur, so we shaved it off for you, and he is good as new. So take that, Google.
Did you do his nails as well?
No, just the fur.
Oh, never mind then. Well, I suppose we'll be off home then.
Yes, but before you go, can I discuss costs with you?
Costs. You said you could examine him and it would be free of charge.
Yes.
So as far as I was aware, I didn't have to pay anything.
The examination was free, but we still had to sedate him to get near him and to examine him. You agreed to sedation.
I agreed to sedate him to put him to sleep, not to examine him.
But he didn't need to get put to sleep.
Which is something I will be eternally grateful for.
But you still owe me money.
No.
Yes.
Since he didn't need to get put to sleep, I don't owe you anything. You used the sedation to examine him, which, as you said, was free of charge.
Mrs. Jones!
Doctor!
You have an outstanding balance which you need to pay.
I think you'll find that Google disagrees with you.
What?
There's nothing worse for a business than a bad Google rating, especially with the new vet opening around the corner. A bad Google rating could mean the difference between a vet and do you want fries with that? Do you want that, Doc? Do you?
Fine. Just please go and don't come back here anymore.
Very well, I'll just get my things and go.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a patient to see in the back.
Now we've got you groomed, my love, so you'll be beautiful again. Oh, it's a shame they didn't do your nails, but never mind. Why don't we go see that new vet 2 blocks down? There's one born every minute.
As always, those are all amazing performances. So I want to thank all of you for competing and for working hard. As you can imagine, our tournaments would not be possible, particularly this year, if there weren't a team of folks working mostly behind the scenes to make it happen. So I want to make sure I recognize the tournament staff and pull them into the light. First, Todd Fleming. He's in charge of our extemporaneous speaking process. He writes the questions, and he was generous enough to give weekend time to provide live Zoom drawings for the extemporaneous students. So thank you, Todd. Next, Marla Harper, our judge trainer, who we did not need this year because we could only really use coaches, but I will expect twice as much work from you next year, so thank you in advance. I also want to thank deep, heartfelt thank yous to the tab room staff. Catherine Ward, Kunal Arora, Jim Gifford, Amber Perkins. In these extraordinary times, sorry, it's actually mandatory to use that phrase when you're talking about anything that happened in the past year. We've had to chart a new path to take forensics in a new direction to make it happen at all, which was a seemingly Herculean task. That path was at times long and arduous, a grueling and epic journey, spiraling ever upwards, but we persevered through it all, fixing our gaze on the summit of awards night by straining our eyes, almost as much as I'm straining this metaphor. There were many, many long hours of Google Forms and Zoom and hyperlinks, and every time I was kind of teetering on the edge, they gently nudged me back to safety and sanity for a given value of sanity. So my deepest, desperate appreciation to all of you. I also want to shout out Kunal Arora, who is responsible for this amazing video presentation thingy. I also want to take a minute to thank our graduating seniors, the class of 2021, this intrepid group, for leading and inspiring our teams. Thank you very much. We wish you all the best in the future, and you can come back in 3 years and judge. So in a year in which we are all going above and beyond already, the forensics coaches have been truly amazing. Without their tireless energy and their dedication to coaching you and working with you and being our judges for everything this year, we wouldn't have had a season. We would not have a league. And so just a ginormous thank you to all the coaches. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, all of you, for the opportunity and privilege to keep doing this job. Not that anyone else is fighting me for it. And I would keep doing it even if it didn't come with all of the fame and money that this comes with. Which wraps up our show for tonight. The ballots for finals will be coming at you this weekend, and the trophies are on order. There will be physical trophies. We'll get them out to you as soon as possible. I expect to actually see anyone who's not graduating back here, well, at Blake in October for our first qualifying tournament next season in person. Bring a friend.